All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about something huge, something that's been misunderstood for way too long. We're talking about puberty, but specifically what it's like for a neurodivergent brain. This is a big one. Man, this quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly captures what we're talking about. This isn't just about change. It's about taking a brain that's already wired differently and just cranking up the volume to 11. This is the perfect storm we're here to understand. So, to really get a handle on the storm, we've got to understand the landscape before it hits. What does the neurodivergent brain actually look like before all those hormones show up to the party? Because the starting points, they are fundamentally different. Okay, now check this out. This table lays it all out so clearly. If you've got an ADHD brain, you're walking into this with a dopamine system that's already running about 20 to 30% lower than a neurotypical brain. And for an autistic brain, the amygdala, that's your brain's alarm system, it's often bigger and way more reactive from the get-go. These aren't just tiny differences. These are major neurological distinctions that set the stage for everything that's about to happen. All right, so you've got that baseline. Now, here comes the storm. This next part is the universal experience that every single teenager goes through, no matter how their brain is wired. It's this massive brain and body-altering tidal wave of hormones. And wow, this really shows you the sheer scale of it all. Just look at that period between ages 10 and 14. Hormones like testosterone and estrogen don't just go up a little bit, they absolutely skyrocket. And this chemical flood is happening at the exact same time the brain is trying to do this massive rewiring job. It's just a period of total biological chaos. Okay, so here's the absolute key. It's all about this mismatch. In any teen, the emotional, impulsive part of the brain, the amygdala, is like a super-powered engine. The part that handles judgment and self-control, the prefrontal cortex, well, that's the brakes. Now, during puberty, that engine gets a turbo boost in everyone. But as you can see here, in a neurodivergent brain where the brakes were already underdeveloped, that mismatch becomes severe. It is literally like putting a V8 engine in a car that has bicycle brakes. And this is the collision. This is the heart of the storm. It's that moment when all those universal hormones come crashing into a brain that is fundamentally and uniquely wired differently. The results, yeah, they can be explosive. I mean, just look at how puberty doesn't just make ADHD symptoms worse, it totally transforms them. Can't focus in class can escalate to can't even focus enough to take a shower. What used to be blurting things out can become seriously dangerous impulsivity. This isn't just turning up the volume, the whole song changes. And for autistic teens, the world can become an almost unbearable place. That school hallway that was always a little loud, now it can be physically painful. The need for a stable routine becomes desperate right when life is demanding more flexibility. And all of this leads to a massive spike in masking, that constant exhausting effort of pretending to be normal just to get through the day. And look, this isn't just a collection of stories. The data here from a study at Liverpool John Moores University shows the hard reality. Neurodivergent people already experience low mental well-being at more than double the rate of their neurotypical peers. And that's the baseline before the worst of puberty even kicks in. It is a measurable health crisis. Okay, so that's the storm. It is intense, I know, but understanding the problem is the absolute first step toward finding a solution. So let's pivot. Let's talk about how we go from crisis mode to actual effective support. How do we navigate this thing? I think this question frames it perfectly, right? It's not about trying to stop the storm. You can't. It's about building a stronger, better equipped boat to get through it. It's all about preparation, having a strategy, and using the right tools. And that better boat? It starts with being proactive, not reactive. This framework shows that the work begins way earlier than you'd think, like ages 8 to 10, just by knowing what you're dealing with. Then you prepare, you monitor, and you actively manage as the storm rolls in. If you wait until things are at a crisis point, you've waited way too long. So what are some of these tools? Well, predictability is power. When your internal and external worlds feel like pure chaos, a predictable routine is an anchor. This is where things like visual schedules for overwhelming tasks, like taking a shower, or having one single designated helper person at school, become absolute lifelines. They just reduce that mental load and create these little islands of safety. And here's the why behind all this. It's about supporting something called executive function. The easiest way to think about it is like your brain's project manager. For a neurodivergent teen in the middle of puberty, that project manager is completely overwhelmed. So a task that seems simple to us, like showering, becomes this huge complex project with a dozen steps that feels impossible to even start, let alone finish. Supporting this system is everything. Now, for what I think is the most important part of this whole thing, the storm passes. It feels like it will last forever when you're in it, but it doesn't. There is a horizon. There is life after the storm, and it is a message of incredible hope. I mean, just listen to this. This is from someone who went through the absolute worst of it and made it to the other side. For any teen, any parent, any teacher who's in the thick of this right now, hearing this is so, so important. The intensity is temporary, it does get better. And here's the good news. With the right support, teens come out of this with incredible new skills. They learn how to manage their symptoms, their mental health starts to stabilize as their hormones do, and this is huge. They develop powerful self-advocacy skills. They learn what they need and how to ask for it. They're building the foundation for a really resilient adulthood. So, if you take away only one thing from all of this, let it be this. We have to completely reframe how we see this. The struggles of neurodivergent puberty are not a series of bad behaviors. It's not an attitude problem. It is a predictable neurological and endocrinological event. It's a medical event. And just like any other medical event, it doesn't need judgment. It needs a plan.